Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Yonkoloski here. How you doing today? Welcome back. Let's go for another walk. I don't know how things are right now, but uh, when I was growing up, it was ingrained into me and all my friends, and pretty much, as kind of like a societal thing that, going to college was a necessity, a given, you might say, right? From school to teachers to my parents to my friends' parents. It was pretty much a given. Like, college comes after high school, You go to elementary school, you go to middle school, you go to high school, you go to college, you get your degree, you get a job in a field that you like or that you chose to hitch your wagon on. You go through the rest of your life, kids, blah blah blah, and then you die, right? But I guess for this part, we're only going to talk about the high school part. I mean, the college part, right? So it was pretty much like a forced reality thing. Like it was almost like a. Of course, you go to college. That this is just what you do. So I went to a community college. I had a couple of schools that I could have gone to, had a couple scholarships, but there was nothing. When you get a scholarship for like $2,000 and a semester is like 18,000, you're gonna say nope, and you're not gonna go. So I went to a community college. Was gonna do the whole get my associates and then transfer out, right? So I wanted to be a history teacher. I was like, oh, this is the thing that I like. I could see myself doing this, yada yada, right? Here's the thing, though. I never liked school. I don't. I've always been. I've always been one of those students that like, I do well enough. I do good enough. I pass. But like I wouldn't say someone who's like especially studious. Like school's just never really been my thing. So, when I went to community college, like I did well enough. I will admit I dicked around a lot. I had fun. You know how it is, right? You know how it is. You're 18, 18 to 20, you're first getting used to freedom, blah blah blah. And all your schooling is completely on you, whether you go or not or how you do, right? So, community college and college in general, right? This is not like a hit piece on college. This is just about my regrets and my time at college. Because college and, even community college, it's what you make of it. And I did not do a good enough job while I was there. I was not fully committed because I I I wasn't ready for it. I didn't do well enough, but at the same time, like after my first two semesters, like I really sat there and I was just like, this is not for me. Like I hated classes. I really didn't love what I was doing because it was a lot of prerequisite work. Like my history classes, I loved it. Got A's. I'm good at it. English, all that stuff. Like I'm very good at those type of things. But I started taking math. I started taking science. I started to do all this bullshit. Instead of just purely focusing on the stuff that I was paying to go to college for. And eventually I got to the point where I had enough credits to transfer. But I got cold feet when it came transferring to another school because I just really couldn't see myself doing more classes, doing more college. And really at the end of the day, I was just like, I don't have a plan because the whole reason I went to college was because it was expected of me. I didn't have this huge plan for after high school. I really didn't because I was just like, well, I'm just going to go to college and I'll figure it out. And then when that wasn't happening, after 2 years, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm wasting money. I'm wasting my time. And, that's when I made the decision to drop out. And I decided to drop out when I was around 2021. So, I essentially wasted 2 to 3 years of my life. That's pretty much how I see it, even till this day. So, from there, so I make the decision to drop out and then figure out what to do with my life from there without spending all this goddamn money. And the first thing to note here was the absolute disappointment from my parents. That level of disappointment was just unreal, right? Like, and it's hard to explain to some people. Some people will get it once I say this, right? As the firstborn son, and the son part does a lot of stuff here, right? So I'm the firstborn son to two, and I mean very, very, very hardworking immigrants who made sacrifices that I can't even fathom, and it was their dream to watch their kids graduate, especially me as their oldest son. And the disappointment from them was immeasurable. Like it was a rough time in my life. Like they felt like shit. I felt like shit because they felt like shit, and I was already feeling like shit. So this was depressing. Like between dropping out and not knowing what I was doing, working a shitty restaurant job, and I even picked up a second job to just. I was like, you know what? If I'm not going to college or studying anything, I'm going to make as much money as I can with all this time that I have. I also even took like supplementary classes for other things. I was like, well, maybe I'll get into like EKG work. Did a course. It wasn't really for me. I did a bunch of other classes for a bunch of different things that I was just like, oh, maybe I can thrive in here, and nothing was panning out, and that mixed with all the entire college experience, being 22, just feeling like I wasn't doing anything, even had some personal issues that crushed me, you know how it is when you're in your early 20s and stuff like that. Like it was just a feeling of it was an onslaught of just depression, of goofing around, of just really floundering in life, working shit jobs, taking classes that led to nowhere, and the feeling of failure lingered with me for years. Like I was squandering my life. I was a disappointment to my parents. I was doing nothing but working, failing classes over and over, doing a bunch of, drinking a lot, doing things I shouldn't have been doing. It was fun, and I have a lot of fun memories from that time. But really, like me now, I look back on those days and I'm like, I was horrifically depressed. And there's no way that me or my parents or my family or whatever, like I was a disappointment. And I can own up to that now. It's hard when you're going through it to really process it all, but I was a disappointment to my parents, to my family, to myself, to everything that my parents have ever done for me. And that stuck with me for years. Even now, years removed from that, I still cringe to myself because I can only imagine what my parents must have felt like. And even now I'll still have the argument with my parents, because like I'll save on to that for later, but just know that the time after college for me, probably like a lot of people who might drop out, was just a period of failure. It was a period of failure and like really trying to find out what it was that I was going to do with myself, and then after going through all this, one day my best friend, my brother, my absolute rock, my best friend, who I call my brother interchangeably on this channel. He ended up going to a trade school for IT. And, he was like me, someone who dropped out of college. Even his parents would talk to me about, like, hey, like, what are you guys doing? Blah, 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 So he goes to trade school. He turns it around, and then after feeling like a failure for years, I was just like, hey man, like tell me about this trade school. Like tell me what's up. Tell me about IT. And then from there, I made the decision, probably the best decision I've ever made in my fucking life, for sure, was deciding to go to that trade school. I talked it over with my parents, yada, yada. My parents were still like, you're really not going to go back to college? And I'm like, we've had this discussion for years. I'm sorry, yada, yada, but like, I cannot do it. I'm going to go to this trade school. So I start going, and what's crazy, man? And this is the most important part here, right? This is the most important part for me. For anyone that's listening to this and, maybe if you're in that age range of like, you're in college, maybe you're thinking this isn't for you, yada, yada, yada. Dude, when I went to trade school, dude, the mix of lecture and hands-on did so much for me, because we would learn, we would get taught something and then immediately put it into practice. Like, here are the parts of a computer, and here's how you put it together. Now you're going to put it together. Here's what you need to do to create a user in Active Directory. Now, here, go into your virtual server and create a user. And this was a game changer for me. And contrary to what I said earlier, I found out through this program that not only am I a good student, but I'm an exceptional student. I'm a fucking good student, dude. Like this course was probably like a year long. Dude, I was an honors student. I was an A+ student. I got enrolled into honor society. Like, never in my wildest dreams, after being mediocre in school my whole life, did I ever think that like I had the capability to do that. Like, this program brought out the best in me. And the program that I got, like, it came with preparations for certificates in the field, and it had a whole department that assisted in finding jobs. Like, I finally felt that I had somewhere to find focus and actually get hands-on learning and help to move forward in my life. It's one thing to go somewhere and learn something and then just be let out into the wild, but it's something, it's entirely different. Learning something, learning it hands-on, and then having people tell you, all right, here's what's next. Here are the hurdles that you're going to face. Here are some of the difficulties that you'll face once you try to get your career going. Oh, and by the way, we have a couple open positions here that we can get your resume into. Because especially now, like, sending in your resume and being picked is one of the hardest fucking things you'll ever do. Because, goddamn, it feels like no one even reads your resume anymore, let alone actually picks you. And for a long time, I had heard of trade schools. I always had, because in my senior year, like, a lot of the, and what's insane is that a lot of the quote unquote lower students, like the students who were either in failure of dropping out or had some sort of learning disabilities, like, they would be given a chance to go to a trade school. So like for the last 3 periods of the day, like, they would go to a trade school. And it's like, and it's crazy because, like, they framed it as almost like, well, you're going to fail in fucking life, so we're going to send you to this trade school, so hopefully, you don't fail for the rest of your fucking life. And it's just like, wait. How come we don't get a choice in this? Like, it's so messed up because it's like they almost ingrained it into us as like, ooh, you don't want to be one of those who goes to trade school. That's kind of how it was framed for us. While we were in high school. And then fast forward to me going to my trade school, like, it was the best decision I ever made. Turned my entire fucking life around. I'm still in IT now. And year upon year, I advance in my career, and I am comfortably now, in the midst of my career, a success story. And it's not just me. And it's not just me. Like, my best friend went, who then he inspired me to go. And what's crazy is that my sister ended up going there too for a different trade. Now she's successful in her trade. She has a career. One of my childhood friends, one of my boys, he ended up going there for IT too, and now he's living the fucking dream. He is super successful in his field. My cousin's going there. Like, I wish I had gone there from the start. Maybe 18-year-old me wasn't ready for that, but life would have been so much better if I had decided to go earlier. And a lot of this really comes down to like this forced college culture that I don't know if it exists now still in schools. I've been out of the school system for over a decade now, so I don't really know. But like, I feel like now it's more accepted that, like, one, you don't have to go to college. Two, it's not a failure to not go to college for a lot of people. And I feel like what a lot of people have also learned too is that, like, there's a lot of college degrees that are kind of fucking worthless. And there's a lot of people I know who have a college degree and then don't do anything in that field. It's just like they basically just went to college just to get the degree. And it's just like, well, you didn't even work in that field. And honestly, what's crazy is that they've come out even more successful than if they would have done their field. It's nuts, like, for anyone that's like in that age range, like I said earlier, that's like maybe in college, maybe thinking this might not be for them, or maybe they're afraid of disappointing someone. Look, the feeling of failure and the feeling that you're not good enough, it hurts. It hurts a lot, and during that time period, that feeling of being a failure, of being a disappointment to everyone around me, it hurt. It hurt so goddamn much, and it affected so many parts of my life. But at a certain point, you have to make decisions for yourself. You know, like if I had made the decision earlier to get over the fact that I was going to disappoint my parents by not going to college, and if I had jumped straight into a trade school earlier, dude, are you kidding? I would be so much more successful now than I am. You know, at a certain point, it really becomes like, damn everyone else, I'm going to do what's best for me. I know that college isn't for me, so fuck them. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to find success here. You know, like, it's crazy to think of the position I'm in now as opposed to that time frame back then, because I never thought that I would be someone who's relied on, who's praised, who's stable, who sees a clear path in the way they want to go in their career. Like, a lot of this is hindsight, and honestly, I probably could have avoided a lot of this if I, like I said earlier, had made different decisions. But here's the thing, right? Here's the crazy thing. That time period from 18 to 21, that time of your life is so tumultuous that it's okay to just not know better sometimes. You know, like, school doesn't really guide you when it comes to like making these big decisions. You know, it just kind of leaves you out to just do whatever, you know, and it's easy to make mistakes, and it's okay to also make mistakes during that time of your life, because you're an early adult. You barely know what the fuck you're doing. You were just a high school student. What do you know? You don't know anything, you know, and the only thing I'll say really to end this off is make your mistakes. Make your mistakes. Just make sure those mistakes don't drag you down to the depths like they did for me. And even if they do, trust me, there's a way back up. You'll find a way forward, and one day you'll be laughing at your mistakes. Look at me, I'm laughing at I'm making light of and kind of laughing at my mistakes right now in this fucking YouTube video. It is what it is, man. And you know what? I can laugh at my mistakes and at my past self with a smile on my face right now, because I'm making this YouTube video in an apartment that I pay for on my own, on a gaming rig that I can afford with electricity that I pay for. You know, this is there's a way forward. There's always a way forward, and a lot of the societal, you know, norms or pressures, they don't have to be you. They really don't. So everyone else is going to college, and you're expected to go to college, but you think it's not right for you? Don't go. Do you? And if you don't have a clear plan in mind, dude, take your time, make your mistakes. Don't worry about everyone else. Do what you need to do and find that way forward. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say. If you made it to the end of the video, like, comment, and subscribe. If you have a similar story, let me hear it in the comments. I would love to hear it. I love hearing other people's experiences about the things that I talk about. So that'd be great. So until next time, I'll see you guys then. Be good. Thanks.